Today we have very interesting theme. We will work in the decoupage technique with printings, and we'll decorate within the limits of this program a plywood box in the country style. This work is interesting because a paper decor we fix in the unusual way, which is called gluing of printing the picture downwards on a varnish. We very much hope that our ideas will be useful to you, and you necessarily will use them at creation of your handmade masterpieces with which you will decorate your home or will please your friends. Hello, my name is Natasha Fokhtina, and I'm glad as always to welcome you in our studio. Today we have the most interesting lesson. We will work in the decoupage technique with printings, and we'll glue them on a product in the unusual way, the picture downwards, and we'll use for gluing acrylic varnish. To tell the truth, this method has appeared not so long ago, but many masters have liked it and used in their works. I also have thought that it will be interesting to you if you are interested in decoupage for certain, are interested in all novelties in this area of handmade. By the way, printings became very popular recently. After all, the assortment of napkins, a rice paper and decoupage cards can't satisfy anymore all creative needs of masters. And that the scientific and technical progress doesn't stand still, and the color printer has ceased to be a rarity, also has played a role. Now, it's not necessary to hunt through the shops in search of the necessary picture, all is much easier. Print from the internet the picture you liked and work. But how? I will show you. So that our casket becomes such wonderful, decorated from both sides by marvelous pictures, at first it's necessary to prepare the preparation for work. It's such, made of plywood, and it's similar in form to the big matchbox. I very much like similar boxes, as it's convenient to keep any trifles in them, but it's much more difficult to work with them than with caskets, at which the cover opens. It's caused by that at first it's very difficult to decorate an interior of such box, as it's difficult enough to paint the area limited to 4 sides. Secondly, we can't apply an active paint layer on inside layer, as it has a thickness, and it's better not to make this layer, that it won't block the product opening. How we should decorate our box on the inside, that it all the same will be painted? Here all is simple. We should emery it by means of an emery paper, that the surface become plain and polished, and instead of paint, I suggest to use water mordant. It, without any problems, will paint our wood in beautiful color. I like color of ebony. I paint with it the internal box and the box cover from within by means of a brush. I remind that the intensity of mordant color you can regulate according to your taste. If you want to make color of a tree more darkly, you need to apply one more layer of this structure. But don't forget that each layer needs to be dried within 2 hours, and full drying of time of wood, tinted with the help of mordant, is 4 hours. Also, I have applied mordant on each side of product from 2 sides outside, as I want that it in finished form will be like a small matchbox. I don't want to see white wood in thin places. When we will paint it, paint from the top, and we'll begin to make old in the country style, in other words, to rub. After you will dry mordant, you need to take white acrylic ground and to apply it by means of a brush on 2 sides of the cover, on which we want to make a decor in the decoupage technique. Further, we dry this paint layer and polish it by means of an emery paper, that it become ideally plain and smooth. We need to make it necessarily. After all, we will be polish a picture already after we glued it to the product, and a certain surface roughness can damage it, and we will have to redo all anew. And that you will make all right, I won't hurry up and will tell all in detail. At first, I should explain to you what I mean when I say that we work with printings. As I see, printing is a picture from the internet or scanned with any card or a reproduction and printed on the color printer. In the given program, it means that on any, not necessarily on laser, and on a usual paper for the printer instead of on a photographic paper. Now, I think that many tell that try to work with such paper product, and that as a rule at soaking and gluing of such decorative product, the paint is washed off from picture, in other words, flows. If this is not printing on the laser printer and photo photographic paper, it should behave like this. But we can avoid these troubles and use such method, which has become very popular with many masters who are engaged in the decoupage. This method is called printing, gluing on a varnish face downwards. This method is simple enough, and I think that many will like it. So, at first, we need to print a picture and to cut out it on a contour. I have decorated both sides of the box in the decoupage technique, therefore I prepare for work at once two pictures, and I try to choose that they have been drawn by one artist differently, then they will be difficult for connecting in one product. My choice has fallen on such pictures with elves of the English artist of 19th centuries, Cecil Mary Barker, which are very popular and favorite today by many. That they will decorate our box, we need to apply on its surface plentiful enough, but the plain layer of varnish or acrylic or any other water-based. I apply varnish by means of a brush and try that whole surface will be coated by it. After all, if in some places the picture remains without a varnish, we won't have the picture. We begin work with the one side of the product. Have applied a varnish and at once put to it our printing, face downwards, and smooth it from the center to edges, that it will densely glue to the surface. If you have densely laid picture on a varnish, you need to dry it well. I do it using the hair dryer, as I want to show you result faster. I advise you to leave the product on natural drying. One night will be enough, that the paper will strongly glue to a varnish. Further, we should take a container of water and by means of a foam rubber piece to moisten the paper, in other words, the back side of the picture glued by us. Don't hurry up, the paper should get wet well. If you see the picture clearly appearing through the paper, clean it in the corners by fingers and pull aside. Ideally, thus, you in 2-3 steps remove all wet paper from the picture, and if there are stuck pieces, they can be removed by rolling. In other words, we rub there by fingers and clear the picture. By the way, I hope that you have paid attention that the picture in such process turns out mirror. It's logical. After all, we open it from the picture backside, in other words, get the reflection. I tell it that you before work will decide for yourselves. Is it important to you to get the picture real? If it's important, print its mirror. I notice that after you have got pictures from two sides of the box, you need to dry them and to varnish. Now, when our box is decorated with such decoupage fragments, we can decorate it in the country style. At first, I've decided to hide uncovered edges around drawing. For this purpose, I took the green paint and have applied it by means of a foam rubber piece by a tamping method in 2 layers with intermediate drying around them. By the way, such decor is good, and in that case when you glue printing on a varnish the face downwards, and when you glue in the usual way, not making it thinner. Further, we take a flat synthetic brush and paint the same green paint the sides of the top part of our box, which are already painted by water mordant color of ebony. We dry well this paint layer and take a piece of a paraffin candle and apply it on those places where we are going to have the thin places further. As a rule, a bit of wax is applied on the product edges, as in life on them the paint more often is peeling off. Now, I suggest take red-violet acrylic paint and by means of a brush to apply it on green with the paraffin applied on it. In other words, on the same sides of the box and to dry them. While the top part of the product dries, we can take the inner part and paint those planes which at the closed box will be outside. We paint with the brush with red-violet paint. Further, we need to dry this color, to apply a bit of paraffin on edges and to paint the same surface with green paint. As soon as we have dried paint, we take an emery paper and rub off, getting the characteristic thin places for the made-all product. In other words, from under green color should appear the red-violet paint. We do the same and with the top part of the box. In other words, we scuff by an emery paper the red-violet sides and get the green thin places. I remind that for this purpose we need paraffin. In those places where we have applied it, the top paint has peeled with ease, having bared the bottom, and we have the last operation. I suggest to make a frame around the picture relief. For this purpose, we need to take the acrylic paste mahogany color and using the palette knife to apply its uneven strokes around the glued picture. I pay your attention that try not to close by paste all green paint. It should appear in some places. If not to do it, work will look uninteresting and primitive. With dry paste, take on foam rubber a little bitumen wax and apply it here and there on the box surface to make it old. I don't recommend to do it by bitumen patina, it will look roughly, only wax. And we have the last operation. We take a metallic wax of gold color and apply it by the finger of our terracotta paste and all sides of the box. Due to this, we have a beautiful pure effect and the work looks more expressive. It seems to me that today I have told you everything that I wanted about how it's possible to work with printings in this technique. Within the limits of this program, we have made such wonderful bags in the country style. And this work visually shows all possibilities of the offered technological process. I very much hope that my experience and ideas will be useful to you, and you necessarily will use them for making of the handmade masterpieces. And also, I want to remind you that work with printings is interesting and pleasant, and you will have much more possibilities with it to realize your creative plans and ideas. But always remember that many pictures have authors who will be not always glad to see them on your caskets or boxes. If you don't show them anybody online, nobody will give you any claims. But if you can't keep and want to brag of your creative success, be careful. Remember that there is such thing as copyrights. Don't break them and create, please. On it, me, Natasha Fochtina, say goodbye to you to new ideas. Good luck and goodbye.